in the depths of their being, your person finds themselves drowning in a sea of shock that penetrates every layer of their existence. This isn't merely surprise or bewilderment, this is a profound, earth-shaking realization that has torn through the very fabric of who they believe themselves to be. For countless years, perhaps decades, they have existed behind an elaborate fortress of carefully constructed facades, wielding manipulation like a weapon and emotional detachment like armor. They have lived their life as a master chess player, always 3 moves ahead, always calculating, always in control. This intricate system of psychological warfare has served them well throughout their journey. With others, they could read the board perfectly, predicting responses with surgical precision, steering emotions like a conductor directing an orchestra, and maintaining their walls at just the right height to keep vulnerability at bay while still appearing accessible. They became experts at the dance of human connection without ever truly connecting, masters of intimacy without ever being truly intimate. But then you entered their world, and everything they thought they knew about themselves, about love, about human connection, crumbled like ancient stone touched by time itself. The usual games that had always worked so flawlessly suddenly felt foreign in their hands. The psychological tools they had wielded with such expertise became useless, not because you were playing a better game, but because you weren't playing a game at all. The walls they had constructed with such meticulous care, each brick placed with purpose, each defense mechanism honed through years of practice, began to dissolve not through force or conquest, but through something far more powerful. Your simple, radiant presence made those walls feel completely and utterly unnecessary. From the very first moment you crossed paths with them, you approached with a purity of intention that was both foreign and fascinating to their guarded heart. There was no hidden agenda lurking beneath your words, no manipulation disguised as care, no attempts to impress or seduce through calculated charm. You were simply, authentically, beautifully yourself, genuine in your expressions, open-hearted in your approach, and fearlessly authentic in a way that both terrified and inspired them. Your sincerity was like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, illuminating corners of their soul they had forgotten existed. Your kindness wasn't strategic, it was natural, flowing from you like water from a spring, effortless and pure. Your warmth wasn't performed for effect, it was genuine, radiating from your being like heat from a fire, drawing them close even as their instincts told them to run. In the beginning, their wounded psyche couldn't comprehend what they were witnessing. They misjudged you completely, filtering your actions through the lens of their own past experiences and projecting onto you the motivations they had encountered in others. They assumed, with the cynicism born of disappointment, that you were like the countless others who had passed through their life, people drawn to surface-level charm, intrigued by the mystery of their emotional distance, or motivated by superficial desires that would fade with time. This fundamental misunderstanding of your character led them to employ their usual defensive strategies. They held back emotionally, creating distance as a form of self-preservation, protecting themselves from the possibility of being hurt or disappointed once again. Even though something deep within them was already stirring, love beginning to bloom like a flower in winter, they didn't allow themselves to fully acknowledge these feelings, much less embrace them. They tried desperately to stay guarded, convinced in their heart of hearts that you couldn't possibly be different, that no one ever truly was. They had built their worldview on the foundation that everyone had an angle, everyone was playing some version of the game, everyone would eventually reveal their true, self-serving motivations. This belief had protected them for so long that it had become gospel, an unshakable truth that governed their every interaction. But you, in your quiet, consistent way, proved them wrong again and again and again. With every interaction, you revealed more layers of your authentic self, each one more genuine than the last. You were unapologetically honest, even when honesty was difficult. You remained emotionally available, even when they gave you every reason to close off. You continued to be vulnerable, even when vulnerability seemed risky or unwise. You didn't shy away from expressing your feelings, even when those feelings were complicated or intense. You refused to play games designed to provoke reactions or test boundaries. Instead, you stood firmly in your truth, showing compassion when they least deserved it, offering them space to be real when they had only ever known how to be fake. This consistency in your character was initially confusing to their analytical mind. They kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the real agenda to reveal itself, for the manipulation to begin. But it never came. Your authenticity remained unwavering, your kindness consistent, your love unconditional. This constancy first confused them, then gradually humbled them, and finally, completely transformed them. Your unwavering honesty became a force of nature in their life, challenging everything they thought they knew about love, connection, and emotional intimacy. You didn't just touch their heart in passing, you awakened something that had been dormant within them for so long they had forgotten it existed. For the first time in their adult life, they began to question the very foundations upon which they had built their identity. They started to see, with painful clarity, how empty and exhausting their manipulative patterns truly were. The constant calculation, the endless strategizing, the perpetual performance, it was all so hollow, so draining, so fundamentally unfulfilling. In stark contrast, your grace shone like a beacon in the darkness. Your loyalty stood as a testament to what real love could look like. Your authenticity lit a path they didn't even know they were searching for, but had been wandering toward their entire lives. They began to see in you a woman who was unlike anyone they had ever encountered in their journey through life. You weren't trying to control outcomes or manipulate circumstances to your advantage. You weren't playing psychological games or testing their responses. Instead, you showed up with a full heart and clear intentions, offering yourself completely without reservation or hidden agenda. You became their mirror, reflecting back to them not who they pretended to be, but who they actually were beneath all the layers of protection and pretense. Through your eyes, they were able to see their own emotional limitations with startling clarity. They began to understand how much they had been avoiding love, even when it was standing right in front of them, offering itself freely and unconditionally. Through this profound realization, they began the slow, sometimes painful process of growth. Like a plant reaching toward sunlight, their consciousness started to shift and expand. They no longer saw love as something to be controlled, manipulated, or feared, but as something sacred to be embraced, honored, and cherished. You didn't just change their thoughts about love, you fundamentally altered the very structure of their heart. You expanded their perspective not through force or argument, but simply by example. By being yourself so completely and authentically, you showed them what was possible in human connection. You demonstrated that love could exist without conditions, that vulnerability could coexist with strength, that openness didn't have to mean weakness. Your person now recognizes, with a clarity that takes their breath away, how profoundly you have influenced their personal evolution. They understand that they have matured emotionally, growing in ways they never thought possible. They have developed mentally, expanding their capacity for understanding and empathy. They have even grown spiritually, connecting with aspects of themselves and the universe that had been previously closed off. All of this transformation, this rebirth of their soul, happened because of the space your love held for them. You created a safe haven where they could begin to let down their guard. You offered them a sanctuary where they could start to heal from wounds they had carried for so long they had forgotten what it felt like to be whole. They are no longer the person they were when you first met. That person, guarded, manipulative, emotionally unavailable, feels like a stranger to them now. They have become more self-aware, more compassionate, more aligned with their true authentic self. And they know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this transformation is because of you, because of your love, because of your patient presence in their life. Now, with their heart cracked open and their soul awakened, they want to come forward. Not with the pretense that once characterized their interactions, not with the caution that had governed their emotional expressions, but with complete and total honesty and transparency. They want to express the depth of their love for you, a love that runs deeper than oceans and reaches higher than mountains. They want to share how you've shifted their entire world, turning it from black and white into brilliant, vibrant color. The gratitude they carry in their heart is overwhelming, threatening to spill over in waves of emotion that they can barely contain. They are ready to return to you, but not as the person you once knew, uncertain, emotionally unavailable, hiding behind walls of protection. They want to come back as someone who has been transformed, someone who is prepared to love you fully, completely, without holding anything back. Their heart chakra, once closed and protected, has burst open like a flower in spring, and with it has come a wave of overwhelming emotions that threaten to consume them entirely. Love floods through them like a river breaking through a dam. Passion burns within them like a fire that cannot be extinguished. Vulnerability, once their greatest fear, now feels like their greatest strength. The desire for union with you pulses through their being like a heartbeat, constant and essential.